y'all. Birdie Chesson here, and I wanted to talk to you about why you should not be using AI to create original content. So, you know how when you take a picture, you can press up and there's information about that picture. It has latitude, longitude, which means the exact location that you were in when you took that picture. And it tells you what phone took a picture of it, who took the picture. It's just, they call that the metadata. So it's like those, that is assigned to that picture. If you take that same picture and put it on your computer or anywhere else, that data is still inside that picture, no matter where you go or wherever you put that picture. So, and even when you send it to people. So, with that said, when you use AI, any of those platforms to create your work, it's not necessarily your work because it's not your words. And, you put an idea inside of the chat, but if you take that same thing that came up and you try to put it on your Google Drive or anywhere else in order to take those words, realize that there are metadata tags on your content. So that means that wherever you got it from or got that information, understand that it is not original content. So the signature of whatever created that content is going to be on it. So a while back, there was a dispute about ghostwriters, right? So, and bear in mind, I am not a lawyer. I am not in anything legal. I've just been in the literary and music industries for over 25 years. So when I say this, it's because I've seen the rise and the fall and the waves in all of this stuff. So when people had this whole thing about ghostwriters. Now I'm a ghostwriter. I've been writing music and books and movie scripts and all that stuff for many years. And when you have a ghostwriter, you sign away the rights to those things. And so now those rights are now assigned to whomever bought those rights from you. So a lot of times you are using this AI, right? And essentially, it would be considered ghostwriting material. But the caveat and the reason why there's a debate in Congress about this is because of the metadata tagging. So no matter what, there is a source tied to your content. So if you were ever one of those people who got the licenses to PLR books and you realize you can't upload it to Amazon, it's because the internet is now, and the metaverse and all of those things are now able to take that content that you have, and they know exactly where it came from. So that's why it's hard for you to plagiarize. That's why it's, you don't get the same combination of words in certain things, but they all have an assigned signature. So whether or not you wrote it or a robot wrote it or whatever it is that creates the content made it, just understand that the source is able to be found. So if you think about things down the line, and I guess this is my conspiracy theory, depending on how Congress and the powers that be decide on using that metadata tagging to assign to whether or not you have the rights to it or not, just think about it in terms of now people are using this to create songs, to create books and stuff like that. Guess what? It's gonna be it may come to be a point where all of the rights to all of your work is now in question if those tags are now assigned to something. So when I say, when you're trying to create original content or creative content, it's so important to stay true to what it is that you do. because a lot of people are building brands around artificial intelligence. And because that's what they're doing, it's not you, if that makes sense. Like, it's an idea of you, it's an idea of your words, it's an idea of your creativity, but it's not necessarily you. So, I learned a lot of this stuff because I use um, my own curriculum to write books. But when I did what do you call it? I did a seminar on how to use AI to write a book, and I noticed that when I was copying and pasting certain things that came up, and I was like, "Oh, I can use this. Oh, I can use that." I noticed that even Google Voice, Google Drive, Google Docs has the metadata already in it that says, "Oh, it's nice to see you're using AI to create this." And I'm like, okay. So that tells me that for all of the 80,000 books, curriculum, songs, and all of the content, original, creative, out of my head, through my fingers, creations that I've made now could be put into question if I use content that was generated. And I'm saying that because I will always use whatever I personally have conceived, all of that stuff, to be published, to publish. Now, I have courses on how to protect your own work, how to make sure that you can write a book. I have a 5-minute video on how you can write your own books. I have there are so many different ways to do things, and I'm telling you, and I'm saying this from me. Again, I am not a lawyer. I do not practice law. I am not versed in legal, what do you call it, even though I know a little bit of legalese. Understand that when you use generated content, it's not your content. You might own it in some way, shape, or form, but as you read the fine print, you're going to be able to have the source known. So even if you're using a bot to, do something, and people are making a lot of money using AI, but understand that, long term, we never know. The rights that you had, the royalties you might generate might not end up being yours anymore. You never know. Like, this is all speculation again with that. It comes to mind the conspiracy, not conspiracy, the what happened with electronic rights inside of contracts for the music industry. A very long time ago, it was like in distribution, they used to always talk about, oh, electronic rights had everything to do with CDs and, you know, downloads and all that good stuff. But then they had to be more specific in what those rights were. So sometimes an artist might be able to get their downloads from, this website or from like Spotify and all of those other things, but they weren't able to get like, say, ringtone rights. And so, like, there was little fragments of their song that if it wasn't in their contract, they weren't getting paid for it. So because of certain things that were not expanded upon in the initial contracts, when it was time for you to renew your contracts, they usually put those little caveats in it. And since the artist thought that they were signing the original kind of agreement, they didn't know what rights were now going to be assigned elsewhere, and they weren't going to be able to have those rights or even claim those rights because you signed your name on the dotted line. So when you say in any of this content, oh, I checked the box that said, I understand all of these terms, unless you're sitting there reading all of those terms, then you don't really understand. And they reserve the right to change the small print at any time. And all you have to do is like, oh, they give you a little disclaimer that says terms and conditions have changed. And you're like, well, what could be any different? Well, sometimes that part that changes could actually be who the rights to your material will belong to because it was generated elsewhere. I'm just saying you can continue to use what they say, use at your own risk. I'm just saying, like, if you want to just do things here and there, buyer beware or user beware, because a lot of this stuff is free. Just be careful, be mindful. I have my 5-minute course. You can learn how to write a book, any genre book. I have a free group that you can, get that kind of support. And if you need me, bookcoachbirdie.com. And again, this is Birdie Chesson here, and I'm not a lawyer. I do not practice law in any way, shape, or form. But yeah, open your eyes. Pay attention to what's going on. Understand that there is a battle that's going on for, the strikes and all that stuff that's going on right now has everything to do with substitutions, being able to be substituted, swapped out for AI. Talk to you later. Take care.